Hi, everybody. Tonight is Thursday, April 16th, 2015, and you are watching episode 18 of the Current Status Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Melissa Palmer, and you can find me on Twitter at vmiss33.
And I'm Pumla Schmidt, also known as Exchange Goddess on Twitter.
And I am Teresa Miller, known as 24/7 IT Connect on Twitter.
Tonight we have a very special guest, Mr. Cat Riding Unicorn, carrying a Microsoft flag. And by that, I mean Jared Shockley, who's going to talk to us about SharePoint. Jared, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself?
No problem. I'm famous for riding unicorns and carrying flags. Nope. My name is Jared Shockley. I am a senior service engineer in Microsoft IT, running SharePoint on-prem for Microsoft, as well as I'm the service owner for that service, meaning I'm the one that has to, the buck stops with me for everything. So, which is always fun.
So when stuff breaks, they go to you. Is that what
When
happens?
stuff breaks, not only do I have to do the technical side, I have the customers yelling at me.
I was going to say other people's side too, huh?
Yes. Dealing with customers.
But
Internal customers.
Isn't that what SharePoint is all about, though?
Is dealing with customers or breaking or what?
Both.
Both. No, it's not about breaking. Exchange breaks much more often than SharePoint does. Oh, here we go. It's already starting.
No. I think SharePoint breaks probably more often. Now, Exchange patches, yes. I will have to agree with you on that one. But SharePoint's just really sensitive, like really sensitive.
It can be sensitive.
It's almost like schizophrenic some days.
No, it's not schizophrenic. It's SharePoint. It depends on how it's been built, and a lot of people don't build it right. They don't provide it enough servers or enough resources. A lot of times, it's the IOPS with the storage, and that's where SharePoint can really be slow, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so slow." Well, if you don't have a lot of IOPS going to the SQL databases, yeah, it's going to be very slow. Any application will be very slow.
If I give it one CPU, 4 gigs of RAM, and have it like running off of a USB drive plugged into my server, that's not a good thing?
No, that's not. Okay. And typically, if you install it on a single server like that, you're going to kill a puppy or a kitten.
Ooh.
Because that's a SharePoint inside joke that every time a SharePoint's installed on a single server, a puppy or kitten dies.
All right. So speaking of kind of what you're talking about sizing, I guess.
Wait. So you're not animal friendly? Is this what you know?
No, I am very animal friendly because my farms are nice and big. I don't have any. I'm not even close to potentially killing any puppies or kittens. I have at least 8 servers in all my farms.
8.
So do you virtualize everything? I know some of the last. Just curious, like one of the last farms that I was part of building, we did like the database servers on hardware and virtualized everything else. Has the stance on a configuration like that changed?
Yes, it has. Actually, all my brand new farms that I'm building right now are 100% virtual.
On VMware?
Nice.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We're building them on VirtualBox and running on top of Linux. Yes. No. We're using Hyper-V, of course, and we actually have We actually, inside Microsoft IT, we just instituted Windows Azure Pack. So what used to take 30 days of paperwork to get a server, I can get done in 30 minutes, which is actually really cool. So that's actually how we build our farms now. Yeah, it's amazing what we can get now. But on top of that, I'm actually been working on running SharePoint on Azure IaaS. And that's been an interesting
That was going to be one of my questions for you. Can I run SharePoint in the cloud?
In Azure? Yes, you can.
Well, wait. So if you do that, what's the difference with Office 365 SharePoint?
Well,
why would I do that versus Azure?
Office 365, think about it from this way. If you buy a SharePoint site or if you get licensed for SharePoint through Office 365, you don't have any servers you have to manage. You don't have to patch servers, so you don't have to apply updates. You don't have to do any of the server-side work. You're still the tenant admin, so you're still a farm administrator in a way, and you have site collection administration duties, but you don't have to administer all those servers. When you're running an Azure IaaS, you still have to, it's just as if you still have the servers in your data center. You have to patch the servers, you have to install SharePoint upgrades. The pro of doing that, though, is you can do more customizations. In SharePoint Online, they want you to use the cloud app model. What that means is you can build an application, but actually runs over in Azure, let's say. It doesn't actually run in SharePoint. With running SharePoint on IaaS or SharePoint on-prem, you can actually still run what they call server-side applications, meaning it's running on the actual SharePoint servers. However, many SharePoint administrators like myself would say, please go to the cloud app model and get off the SharePoint servers, please.
Oh, interesting.
So I have a question for you. In your Hyper-V farms you're using right now, can you run the storage over SMB3, or is that a no-no with SharePoint?
Actually, you can do the storage over SMB3. That is not a no-no. In fact, we like it in 2012 R2.
Really?
In fact, most all of our Hyper-V farms on-prem now are using scale-out file servers with SMB3.
Interesting.
We're moving away from SANs.
So we keep on talking about farms. You say you kind of have 8 servers in a farm. Can you kind of briefly go through like what maybe the different roles are and the different components you need in this farm and how everything interacts?
No problem. On a typical farm on-prem for us, we have 3 to 4 web servers. That's the actual web servers people hit. We have 1 server dedicated for the server crawls, or the search crawls, meaning when SharePoint Search crawls the website to get everything so you can perform searches, it'll actually chew up a server. So we dedicate a separate server out for the search to actually crawl against and basically chew up. Then on the backside, we'll typically have an app server or 2 if there's applications we have to run for that farm. Most of the time, we don't have a lot of those kind of applications, so we don't need those servers. There's a technology in SharePoint 2013 called the distributed cache. It's a caching layer. We actually separate those servers out and give the dedicated machines to the cache, which makes them faster. And then we have SQL servers set up in always-on configurations. So we have 2 servers that are running in always-on for high availability.
So it's pretty easy to see how someone can mess this up if they're not really sure what they're doing.
Exactly.
That's
and then always it is a lot of servers, but then we have in front of all the servers, especially the web servers, we have F5 load balancers. So the F5 actually does all the load balancing. We don't use NLB or anything like that.
No DNS round robin?
No DNS round robin.
Oh, come on. But I'm sure someone has done that.
Well, I have 1 service that we're running in Azure because we don't have access yet to Azure load balancing capabilities. We do have round robin DNS for that service.
See?
Which makes that oh so much fun.
Who doesn't love round robin DNS?
It's the best though, because it's always DNS.
I don't like round robin DNS.
But it's always DNS. It's great. It's cheap.
The problem is always DNS, of course. The problem is always DNS.
That's great.
So what about the business challenges with implementing SharePoint? Because like SharePoint is, I think somebody was tweeting, the magic of SharePoint, right? I mean, it can do everything, but well, not everything, but it can do a lot. And I think people think it can do everything, and then they just want to run wild with it. And so how should a business successfully deploy SharePoint without stifling the project, making progress, and getting it out to the organization without creating the Wild Wild West?
And it's just a file server.
It's not. It's not just a file server.
It does.
Come on.
With pretty folders.
3 folders, yeah. No, the biggest part is trying to, as with any tool, you got to figure out what is the business trying to accomplish. And like I said, just like any tool, you have to sit down and figure out, okay, how can SharePoint plug into that? A good example, before I came back to Microsoft, I was working at a radiology practice. And we had a lot of documents that we had to track and version control based on how technicians were going to do radiology scans. And then we sent these out to the hospitals. Well, you have to version control them and know which version you sent out and information like that. SharePoint would have made a great tool to do that. So we could do approval processes. So you can actually have what they call workflows. And you can have it go through and say, oh, I'm done with this document. Somebody approve this. And then it goes to the appropriate person. They can review it. And they can say, yes, this is good. Click. Go. This can be delivered out to the masses. You can even have the process actually email the document out. So there's a lot of flexibility in what SharePoint can do. But that's also the biggest problem with SharePoint. It's very flexible and can do a lot. So many times people get wound up into these big systems and have it do all sorts of things, including trying to make coffee in the morning, and of course it breaks between the SharePoint server and making coffee. And then they just look at IT and saying, SharePoint doesn't work. Well, you tried to have it make coffee, and you know what? It's not a barista.
What do you mean?
That would be awesome, though.
It's supposed.
I mean, I would love to have a workflow that brewed coffee in the morning, so then I get
I
up
bet
and
we could do it. We could totally.
I'm sure we could. I've worked in places that have attempted to have those workflows make coffee. Trust me.
No, that's a
freaking
whole
around
other
Microsoft,
conversation.
I see that. Yes.
Why?
That's
what
like
you
the
say?
Internet
You
of
can't make
Things.
coffee. That's what the salesperson said. They could make coffee.
I'm sure there's some service somewhere through the Internet of Things that can do that.
Coffee as a service, CAAS.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sure
I
there
think
is.
I'm going to leave Microsoft and start a new company. Aha!
Coffee as a service. Well, wine as a service. You know.
I can do whining as a service. I can do that really well.
I think all of us could.
Yeah, I think we could.
So, not to take too far off track, but Amazon released a new product that allows you to just push a button, if you put this little button thing by your coffee, and if you need more coffee, you push the button and it automatically orders it and sends it to your house. Sorry, I am digressing, but it looks really cool.
Right around. It came out right around April Fool's Day, and I swear to God that was an April Fool's joke until I saw it was real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was fake too. Oh my God, there's no way.
So
I don't want to get them all over my house.
I know, I need them too. All right, so SharePoint.
Yeah, has the mobile version of SharePoint gotten any better?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I say yes and no.
Because that's like a pitfall, or like I don't know. I've had some users go, it's just horrible. But I want to be able to access my forms on my phone.
Yep.
And why can't you make that happen?
You can. The best way to do it though, you disable the mobile views first and foremost. Then you several MVPs in the SharePoint realm have published information on this, on how to utilize responsive design templates. Microsoft IT, we actually have been moving some of our bigger portals up into Office 365, primarily because we want to ensure that employees can get access to this information wherever they are. And if you take a look, and it's something that the group I'm actually here in Dallas presenting with, the IT Showcase team, they've actually figured out about 40% of Microsoft employees work in their offices. 40% have offices, but don't work there. They're always out and about, going to meetings or on the road or whatever that may be. And 20% don't even have offices and are 100% mobile. When you're mobile, you need to have access to your information. So that's why we want to try and get it pushed up into the cloud into Office 365. Part of that is also utilizing mobile devices. I mean, like I have this is my Windows phone. I have, my the lovely HP Stream 7 little tablet, with the my favorite sticker on the back. Oh my goodness. People might say, I'm almost as bad as Todd Clint. I have so many tablets. I mean, I've got 3 or 4 tablets here, plus my Surface Pro 3 that I'm using. So.
Look at those name dropping. Surface Pro 3.
Yeah. Yes, I have a Surface Pro 3. I don't have a Surface 3 yet.
Wait, okay. Doesn't the Surface run regular Windows though, or no?
Yes, it does. All these run Windows, by the way. All these
even
run
the
Windows.
HP tablet? I thought.
Even the.
It's not the mobile version? Uh-oh.
He's telling us secrets.
The internet exploded.
Uh-oh.
Well, we should probably tell you that Jared's actually on site in a hotel, so...
Oh, there we go.
He's back.
I was
There
making
some great secrets you were telling us.
Yeah, no, I have right here is actually one of my tablets here. I'm just trying to get it. Come on, there we go. Let's get up. Okay, so as you can see here, it's running Windows. That's my sign-in screen. If I sign in, and voila, there's Windows.
Okay.
That's so pretty.
It is, and look at all those retweets. Oh my goodness, I got lots of retweets waiting for me.
You're so popular today.
Today, it's only today. But this is running full Windows 8.1. I can run anything on here that I could run. Now I can't really run like Photoshop or like Visual Studio, but I mean I can run any Windows app on there. It's not RT. It's full Windows.
You could remote desktop into a desktop hosted someplace and run those.
I could very easily. I could even run command line. I could run some PowerShell.
Oh, that would be kind of cool. All right, digressing from the tablet.
Okay.
Yes.
We were talking about mobile utilization.
Yes. So there are ways to do responsive design. Looking forward into SharePoint 2016, there are requests from customers, and I'm going to make a serious guess here. I don't know for certain, but I'm going to guess the product group is going to put responsive design in the product. Mm-hmm. So they're going to get rid of those mobile views and use responsive design. What that is just, it's how you have the web pages that you can change the sizes on them, and when you shrink it, it just like hides things or moves things around, but everything's still there and available to you.
Right.
That's responsive design, and I foresee them building that into the product.
What's about time? Sorry.
It is. Well, it is, but you got to remember, SharePoint. Classically, so SharePoint 2010 was being developed starting in 2008. Take a look at the web back in 2008. By the time they released it, the web had changed in 2010. Now you go to 2013, same thing. They started designing it in 2010, 2011. Dynamic pages and responsive design came out in 2012, 2013, not when they were doing a lot of the initial engineering. So part of the problem with that long release cycle is they can't respond to the market. Right. That's one of the great things about Office 365. They can respond to the market faster.
Oh, yeah, they respond to the market fast. They respond so fast, they don't tell you that they're responding.
That is a small problem. I will admit that. Some colleagues of mine were giving the same course that I'm doing here in Dallas and Houston late last year. And in the middle of the course, they actually got the brand new video portal, and none of them knew it was coming. And they're like, everyone in the class is like, well, what's that? No. It's like, we don't know.
Check our emails. Oh, they released it today. That's great.
They didn't even send an email. We found out about it because it was in the UI.
Okay, so you kind of some interesting things. So, do you know like how SharePoint as a product began?
I do. It actually started out. It started out as a basic way to collaborate on documents, unlike file shares, and then it grew into it grew up into a portal product initially that was just kind of okay. This is here to help share files. You have some team sites that might have a list here, And then they started adding on more and more capabilities, like announcements. Oh, we can actually put this announcement thing. It'll be kind of like this, but then people can actually, oh, hey, now we're going to have portals, which is going to be like a internal web page, and it'll do this and this. And they just kept adding on and bolting on and bolting on and bolting on. It gave SharePoint a lot of capabilities, but at the same time, those capabilities also made it clumsy, heavy. People didn't know how to use it. With the big push into Office 365, I foresee that changing a lot, because you have some things that's like, okay, what are they trying to do with SharePoint? I see them moving more forward into this product is going to be around collaboration. So how do people collaborate? Not just like utilizing Yammer. Yammer is the social talking interaction. Collaboration is something different. File storage is going to be probably over more in OneDrive for Business, because that's file storage. Exchange is formal communication. You send emails to each other. It's more formal than sending an IM or posting something on Yammer. All that one underlying layer across all that is the Office graph, which is the next stage, if you will, of search. And that's where you can get something like Delve that can tell you, hey, I was actually showing off, demoing Delve to some of the people I was in my class yesterday. And one of the documents that came up was a MBR, monthly business review, that I didn't even know I had to attend. And all of a sudden I see this and I'm like, oh, I should probably put that on my radar. Do I need to attend this or not? Because somebody in my network modified that PowerPoint deck. So it really gives you some visualization into stuff. I also had another person in my network of people that I work a lot with, and that's what Office Graph sees. Oh, he talks a lot with these people in Yammer. He emails these people a lot. They saved a document about a specification that was going to change some architecture. Well, they do the architecture on the side of how SharePoint is used inside Microsoft. I needed to look at that document to see, do I need to change my technical architecture, like the 8 servers that I talked about? Do I need to make that 10 servers now because of this change? And it gave me that. I was able to go in and look at it and say, nope, we're not making major changes. I don't need to change anything. I'm good. But they didn't even have to email me. I could see that document got updated.
So does it do any form of auditing within the Delve or Office Graph? Or the Delve?
Actually, it does. In Delve, it doesn't do as much auditing, but the big thing is it's security trimmed. So if everybody understands what security trimmed means, you can only see in Delve what you have access to.
Right.
So if you don't have access to a file, you're not going to see it in Delve. A lot of people, when it first came out, they were freaking out. They're like, oh my God, I have this private document. It's in my Delve. Everybody can see it. No, only you can see it because it's in your OneDrive for Business. And it's set to only you. See, if I go and look for it, I'm not going to see it. So that's a lot of people had that kind of misconception early on. They've done some improvements to say why you see a certain document. You may look at a certain document and go, hey, I don't remember that in any of my, oh, there's a little lock below it. Oh, it's one of my attachments. Oh, cool. I don't have to go diving for attachments inside Outlook. I can just look at it right there in Delve. Another one was shared with me. I got a document today, showed up in my Delve, because 5 of the people in my network that it considers my close network, and I verify that network every day, by the way. It's one of those things I just kind of look at. That network, I've never told it who my network is, and it knows who my network is, which is really scary sometimes.
So Skynet point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Skynet. Skynet. Anyway, 5 people looked at the same document, so I went and took a peek at it just to see what it was. Was it something I needed to know? No, but I looked at it. So it's fascinating when they start bringing all that information together, and as they bring more and more in, it's going to make it a better place to look. I know Satya at the Convergence had a small video on how he uses Delve, and it was a great video to watch, and it made a lot of people understand how Delve is used more. So
that actually is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is, and the big problem though is if you have a whole bunch of on-prem SharePoint, that doesn't get into Delve.
No,
or if you have a whole bunch of on-prem.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that then. So it is kind of a form of auditing, but it's got a coolness factor to it. But in terms of the on-prem, is there any built-in auditing, or is it best to look at third-party products for companies that might need that level of insight into what's going on?
So when you mean by auditing, you mean people looking at documents, or are you touching documents, or? Okay.
Yeah.
There is a lot of audit logs that you can run. Sometimes third-party software gets you better type of, third-party add-ons give you a better view of what you're trying to do. We personally have a certain level of audit logs turned on, plus we have the e-discovery system, which allows our legal department to do a lot of searching, a lot of getting that kind of compliance information together. So and I hate to say it, one of the big reasons why we have auditing turned on at a higher level than most might with SharePoint is because we've had people in the past delete things like, the master template of the site, and then wonder why the site doesn't render.
Oops.
And then they blame IT, saying we deleted it. So
it's always IT's
we do
fault.
that to see why
It's always IT's fault. You should know that. We were the last people to touch it, so obviously
exactly.
We broke it. So I guess in the news today, looks like the next version of SharePoint is slightly delayed. Can we talk about that, possibly? And what should we look forward to with the newest version of Magic?
Well, the newest version of Magic obviously is going to be
tell us everything that's going to be in it.
Well, there's going to be a lot.
Uh-oh.
We appear
Is it just me?
Audio.
Okay.
I see how this goes.
So that's everything I can tell you.
Which is nothing. All right.
We didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't hear anything? That must have been the
no,
legal
but we
censors.
signed the NDA.
It almost seemed that way.
So, are we going to see the type of thing where we're going to see more features going forward? Are we going to see more features put into, like the O365 implementation, the cloud-based implementations versus kind of your on-prem build it, run it, do it here, or is it going to be?
It could be like Exchange, where it's cloud first.
It's always going to be cloud first. I will say that's been something that the product groups have been pushing, all the Office product groups. However, one of the great things in the SharePoint world is if you listen to Bill Baer, he's one of the senior product managers. He has been talking a lot about a big push in recent months to get into the hybrid mode. The great thing that the product group has really seen, and especially in recent months, and they've really talked a lot with customers, and they talked with the MVPs at the MVP Summit, hybrid is going to be huge for SharePoint. There are going to be some things that just can't go to the cloud for one reason or another. The reasons why it can't go are going to be chipped away, but there are going to be some things. I'll state for as an example, our main HR portal at Microsoft couldn't go to the cloud right away. Why? We have a special security system on that SharePoint site, and it's not a standard one. So we have to figure out how to do that in the cloud. Our main portal, like I said, it's called MSW or MS Web. We were able to take that to the cloud fairly easily because that's just an intranet site with news and information and links to other systems. So that was easy enough to take to the cloud. Customers are going to be going through the same thing as they're going through and saying, how can I put this information in the cloud? How can I trust this? Things are going to be also changing around how information is secured by Microsoft. Some of the things that I've heard in the news, through the news, is things like they're going to be able to encrypt, a customer can encrypt their storage in Office 365, and Microsoft doesn't have the key.
That's pretty
so
cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
if your TLAs come by and say, we want this information from this business, Microsoft can say, here's all that information. By the way, it's encrypted. Go talk to them for the key. We don't have it.
That's pretty good.
Have a nice day.
That'll help a lot, I think.
That is going to be huge. Plus, if you take a look at how hard Microsoft is fighting, you guys have probably heard about the case out of New York where they made a request for data out of Ireland, and the U.S. Department of Justice has pushed on Microsoft to give this information. Microsoft said, no, go to Ireland and request it. That information is sitting in Ireland. Go over there and request it there, and the department is saying, no, we don't have to do that, and Microsoft's saying, yes, you do. We're paying daily fines to the courts for that. And we're willing to, because we're willing to stand behind our customers and say, look, follow the rules. Go over to Ireland. You know, the irony of, or I don't want to, probably, irony is always overused. The interesting fact about that story,
the irony of Ireland?
The irony of Ireland. If they would have just went over to Ireland and requested the information immediately, Ireland would have probably signed off and said, sure, information. At this point, because of the way the U.S. Department of Justice has handled it, Ireland's probably going to give the U.S. Department of Justice the middle finger and say, no, you can't have this data. You weren't playing nicely. Bye. Go back to the States.
Possibly.
So we'll see how that case turns out. I think Microsoft has got a really good case. We've got a lot of people behind us on this, including Google, including Amazon, because no one wants to, if
yeah, because it's you guys today. It'll be Google or Amazon tomorrow if a precedent is set.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And any other cloud provider.
But as cloud providers then start taking a look, okay, if Microsoft's going to run over in Ireland, they're going to have to basically create a whole Irish company to run, if you will, and a whole separate corporation to break apart so that the Department of Justice can't say, go get that information from that Irish data center. It's going to put a chilling effect on the cloud and all the companies that are trying to win with the cloud. It doesn't matter. It's not just Microsoft.
I would almost think it would decelerate growth. They're just going to have to kind of stop in their tracks and retool.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not just retooling. It's also going to be changing business models.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's huge.
Yeah, it is.
It's a huge impact. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, though.
It is. Luckily, like I said, there's a lot of people on Microsoft's side, if you will, and I think the side of privacy in this case, because we're trying to say that information over there is private until Ireland says it isn't.
It's come to the point where technology has moved faster than the legal system can keep up with.
Oh, for sure.
The legal system is 100 years behind. They basically they need to catch up with us. If they don't, it's going to be this runaround, and I honestly think it's going to have a huge impact on businesses and technology if the legal system does not keep up.
For sure.
Because we're just going to be running around, chasing our own tail.
Yep.
Exactly.
And costing consumers money.
Exactly.
In the end, it's not just going to cost consumers money, it's also going to cost our GDP money, because companies are going to retool and maybe have a separate company over in Europe. Well, then that money may stay in Europe and not ever come back to the U.S.
There's a global economy effect to it. So come on, legal system, get with the program. It is 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah. Let's get with the program right now.
Well, that's about all we have time for tonight. Jared, thank you so much for joining us. I hope everybody learned a little bit about SharePoint, the good, the bad, and the ugly, mostly how to do it properly and what to look forward to.
There's a lot to look forward to.
There's lots to look forward to. And tweet us if you have any comments, questions, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good night.
Yep, have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.